Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had free agency and we started up the season simulation, and as you can see so far with the youth injection onto our team, we are 23, 15, and 3, which is pretty damn solid. But we are going to be making a pretty big trade in this episode just because we have such an abundance of prospects that we need to kind of wean some of them out and get some of them into the lineup. And yeah, we have a perfect trade that we came up with in the Discord with the New York Rangers that we're going to be making a little bit after I get through these comments. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting trade. Some of you are going to be kind of maybe scratching your heads a bit, but I think it makes sense for our team at the position we're in because, for example, if we go to our lineup at the moment, you can see that we're a little bit weak because right now we do have Cox who's still coming back from injury, but basically we are kind of weak with like Skilly being up there, for example. For some reason this third line is really struggling as well defensively while other lines are doing really well, so the third line kind of needs a little bit of a shake-up. So we are going to be doing something that affects both our third and second line, and yeah, hopefully this team could kind of like win more games in a sense. Like we're doing good right now, it's just I don't really know how to put it, but I think our team isn't doing the best. Like our record looks solid, but look at our last 10 games, 5-3-2. We kind of need to be a little bit better than that. And like I was saying, our top line though, if for example everybody on it is signed for like 4 years or less, so we kind of want to win as soon as possible because they're also going to end up losing Frank Nazar. We're going to end up losing Reefers, and then we have Vance to worry about re-signing. So we want to win as soon as possible if we can. And then obviously we could let the two of those other guys walk, but Vance obviously I'd like to keep here, obviously for his entire career, considering he's such a good goal scorer. But anyways, before we simulate the rest of the season, we do have a number of comments to go over. So the first one is from the Real Divinity. He says, on the trade block section, take off the surplus and wants. Usually the AI teams think you're looking for players set by the AI in your team without you even knowing or you even doing anything to it. Besides that, I like how the team is looking. Go Hawks, lol, not even a Hawks fan, and then some celebration things. So yeah, let's quickly do that, take those things off, because we get thrown too many weird trade offers and it's just really annoying at this stage. So can I remove these as well? I think so, right? Yeah, I can remove all of these. Not the picks wise. I could remove the pick stuff, but I'm just going to remove stuff just so we do not have any offers getting thrown to us at the moment, because it's kind of annoying otherwise. The next comment is from HockeyGuy88. He says, Kabanov and Nidamaki need to have spots in the lineup. I would move somebody on the third line and Morse as well. And I was telling him I was thinking maybe moving Potter instead, even though Potter has been the better defensive option. The reason more being is Potter's probably not going to grow much more. He's an 80 at 23, while you have Morris, who's a 21-year-old. He's 81 overall, and also he's got that low elite potential and a ton of X factors, so he does have the ability to become a lot better probably than Avery Potter will. So more than likely I would be moving Potter from the defensive core to get Nidamaki in, and I would be moving out, who was it? Oh yeah, Pielmeyer is the other guy I'm going to be probably moving out in the trade with the Rangers, just so we could get Kabanov into the lineup full time. Like Kabanov will probably end up being our third line center, and then Bales will be moved back over to the left side because Bales has really struggled this year down the middle. He's a left winger by default, and we tried him at center this year, and he hasn't really done the best there. Like, he's definitely having a down year, so I think he needs to be on the wing to be effective. So more likely he'll be over there once we move out Pielmeyer on the forward core. The next comment is from Pens Gaming 7. He says, I think you definitely need to move someone out because Kabanov should be playing. I think Kopitar as the head coach is doing wonders for this team. You can see the positive influence he's having already. The Kopitar era begins in Chicago begins. So yeah, we signed Anze Kopitar as our head coach, and so far so good. I mean, I'm liking the way he's kind of like teaching probably these young kids both like a 200-foot type of game, so they actually could play good defensively, good offensively, because we have an abundance of two-way forwards. Like Reefers, for example, could learn from Kopitar. Ziska could learn from Kopitar. Recchi could learn from Kopitar. and then even some of these defensemen can learn from Kopitar probably too. So it's a good learning process for a lot of these young guys to have a former NHLer as the head coach, I'd say. And then he also said something about moving out to player to get Kabanov in, and I had also a really long discussion with him, but I'm not going to read all of it just because, or I'm not going to read any more of it just because it was way too long, and we came up with something on the Discord instead, and it's going to be a very interesting trade. You guys are going to like it, I think. And then the last and final comment is from Christopher Davis. He says, before deciding who to trade, I would consider line chemistry. Example, if Niittymaki doesn't give negative chemistry in the top 6 role, then trade Potter. Basically, if you plan on trading a roster player to fill with somebody in the system, make sure a new player doesn't make the chemistry negative. Other than that, I guess I'd be prioritizing keeping the younger guys, maybe even prioritize any with X factors and such. Overall, actually a good circumstance to be in, all things considered, because you have a ton of talented prospects in a deep pool, so you have multiple options. Yeah, that's true. That's a good way of looking at it. And he's saying to basically like try first to make sure chemistry wise that they're not going to affect it negatively. I almost don't care in a sense, because I just need to get these young guys in, and then we could kind of maybe play around with lines a bit so we could kind of get good chemistry. But I do have a set line in mind for our team once we actually make this trade. So let's go make this trade with the New York Rangers. So once again, we're going to be making a trade with New York. We made a trade with them obviously last year when we traded Billy Pettersson over to New York. This time around, we're going to be sending 3 players on our roster to the New York Rangers. Some of you guys might know who I'm trading for just because of the fact that this player was on the block. If you don't remember who it was, you'll get to it in a second. But let's get to the players we are moving out in this colossal trade. Well, I'd say it's a pretty big trade. It might set the tone for the rest of the season for sure. So we are going to be moving out Avery Potter, as I aforementioned. He's been a solid piece so far, 3 years old, 80 overall. He's been not a bad player by any means. Like, he's probably the more offensively minded player. He's actually pretty solid defensively too. But we are going to be moving him out just because he's probably not going to reach anything high into the top 4 potential range. Like, I feel like he could be like maybe an 82 at his highest, which is still not bad, but we definitely need to wean out some of these prospects. He was a former 25th overall pick, and yeah, he's going to be getting dealt here. So Potter is the first part of this trade, and then we're also going to be trading another player, like I said, the third liner, to kind of tweak up the third line. That player obviously is going to be Sasha Pielmeyer. Now, he's kind of one of the tougher ones that I wouldn't want to move out, but it's only because Kabanov has a lot of X factors and stuff like that. But Sasha Pielmeyer listed as a third line checking forward. This guy was a 7th round pick in 2027, so this one is kind of a bad one to move out from in a sense, but we need to do something to make that third line a little bit better defensively. And yeah, Pielmeyer isn't really that guy, I don't think. So we're going to be moving him away in this deal as well. So 2 young players. I think it also will help out the Rangers bringing out sending them those 2 young guys, just because the New York Rangers are not doing too well. They've only made the playoffs 2 times apparently in this franchise mode. So I think it would definitely make sense for them to bring in some young guys, and hopefully that helps them get back to the playoffs like they used to actually in real life. So we'll move out those 2 guys. And we're also going to be moving one more roster player, and this player we brought in the offseason because we were looking for like a second line power forward, that being Alvin Skilly. He has been solid in terms of goal scoring this season. Like, he's on pace for a 30-goal season, but having him on the left side is a little bit weird considering he's a right winger. We are going to be moving him away. He's also pending UFA. But the players are one player that is going to be on our roster from this deal. He's going to definitely help us out in terms of offense, I hope so, at least for the top 6. So yeah, we're going to move out Alvin Skilly in this deal as well. Kind of a weird one, but he's listed as a third line scoring forward, and we're playing him in the top 6, so it makes sense to kind of move on from him. And then the players we're going to be bringing in. Well, let's start off with the 3rd round pick that we're going to be bringing in, because we are going to be bringing in a 3rd round pick as part of this deal, or we're going to try to at least. But all the way for 2035, since they don't have one for quite some time. So that's the first part of this deal. But obviously, you can see they also have they would have more than 45 skaters in our organization. So first, we need to bring back 2 depth forwards. The reason why I want to bring in some depth forwards is because I don't want to be scratching young guys and using them as depth forwards. So we're going to be bringing in 2 depth forwards from the New York Rangers. The first one is this Rammer guy. He's a 78 at 25, so he's probably not going to develop much more. And yeah, he's not making too much money either. Nice little cheap option there. He's listed as a minor scoring forward, but he will be a depth forward for this team. We also will have to take back some more players in this organization, or from this organization. So the next depth piece we're going to be bringing in is actually in the AHL right now, but he's a 78 at 25 as well. He had top 6 potential at one point, but they didn't get utilized that well. So we're going to bring this guy in as another depth option for this team. And obviously, the big piece that we're going to be bringing in this trade is going to be none other than Alexis Lafreniere. His trade value has dropped off. He's an 81 at 31 because of morale problems. They're playing him on the 3rd line currently. He's got a cheap contract. And yeah, if he gets some time into our top 6, he actually should do pretty well. And he does fit our 2nd line, I'm pretty sure, based on the coaching thing. Let me just check that. Yeah, he fits our 2nd line. So it would be a great addition for his team. And looks pretty close value-wise. I feel like we almost have more value on our side still, which is kind of weird. But I don't think I can get a 2nd rounder instead of a 3rd. I don't think so. Yeah, I think this would make sense. So basically, it helps out the Rangers in a sense. They clear a couple like roster spots. They get in a couple young guys that could hopefully turn around their team. Like Pielmeyer and Potter could become really solid players for them. And then they get to play also with like Ville Pettersson and Drew Comesso, who's over there, which is kind of funny. So it helps them out for the future. For us, it helps us out right now, bringing in Lafreniere to hopefully get that 2nd line some really good offense and to kind of fit in with the youth that we have on our team. So let's try this trade and see if it goes through. So Potter, Pielmeyer, and Skilly for a 3rd, Rammer, Hart, and Lafreniere. And that's accepted. Look at that trade. That's a pretty big trade. That might be one of my biggest trades yet, involving the most pieces. So there you go. Lafreniere up to an 87 overall because he's now got morale by joining this team. And we are also going to be calling up Niittymaki from the AHL, which is great. I guess they must have called me up somebody. Oh, wait, I have to send somebody down. That's right. So we're going to send down Zachariah and 90. The other 2 actually are 77s, but that's okay. We'll send down Zachariah and 90 to the AHL. And he doesn't get claimed, which is good. But Niittymaki is now a member of the NHL team. And let's wait, what do we want to do here? Let's actually just go best lines for a second, and then I will reset this. So how I have our lineup projected is something like this. Yep, exactly like this, almost. Rammer shouldn't be in the lineup, though. I don't know why he's in the lineup. It was Patterson. There you go. So basically, our lineup should look like this. Cox is just coming back from injury, but look at this. Vance, Reefers, Nazar, Recchi, Cox, and Lafreniere. That top 6 looks a lot better, I'd say, than with the 83 up there. And then Bales is back to the left side where he was really strong at. Kabanov gets 3rd line center time with Little, and a 4th line of Corrado, Ziska, and Patterson. And defensively, we keep it the same pretty much, except for Niittymaki gets into the top 6, which actually doesn't cause a minus, which is good. And in our depth pieces, we got still Solovyov, who I wouldn't mind getting into the lineup at some stage. And then we have Hart and Rammer as the other depth options that we just brought in from New York. Let's just go best lines in the AHL as well, because I don't really care too much about who's scratching AHL, because I don't think they had any depth options anyways. So there is our lineup for the rest of the season. Let's take a look at what New York did with the players we sent their way. Hopefully they're playing in their lineup. And it will simulate probably the rest of the season, because I think that's the only trade we're going to make, considering we're in a playoff spot and now we just made a blockbuster deal. So yeah, that looks really good, and actually helps out the Rangers quite a bit, I think, as well, considering they had a pretty solid top 6. They did rework it a little bit since I last looked, but Skilly gets put on the 3rd line, which is good for them. They also put Pielmeyer on the 3rd line, which that's also pretty solid. And then Potter gets top 6 ice time. So they're actually utilizing everybody on their team. So that is pretty good. That is a pretty solid deal. Also, they have Ian Mitchell, which is funny too. So a lot of former Chicago Blackhawks over there in New York. hopefully that turns that team into being a playoff team. Not this season necessarily, because I don't want to end up playing them in the Stanley Cup Finals or whatever, but hopefully that helps them out in the future. Okay, let's continue to simulate the rest of the season and see how Lafreniere does with his new club. Hopefully it's pretty damn good, because I wouldn't mind seeing our top 6 get going. Obviously that young third line and fourth line, hopefully they do pretty solid as well. But let's go to February the 1st and see how this team does with the addition of Alexis Lafreniere. Cox is full health, which is good, and he's already in. And we lost our first game with him, and Brennan Bales has been injured already. Goddamn. Let's just go replace player. But that's not a great start for Brennan Bales to this episode, getting injured. He's kind of had like a really low season this year. Like, he only had like 5 goals at the center, so hopefully at the left side he does a little bit better, because that's where he was scoring like 20 something plus goals, and where I gave him the crazy extension too. And wow, our team is literally winning almost every game with 4 or more goals since bringing in Lafreniere. We lost the first game, but we are currently on an 8-game winning streak since acquiring Lafreniere. We might end up winning the President's Trophy, which is not necessarily a great thing, but we're scoring almost like 4 goals a game in those 8 games that we've won in a row. So team is looking pretty good. Let's go to March the 1st and keep on winning. There's 9 wins in a row for this team. Can we win 10? Yes, we win 10 in a row, and there's 11. How about 12? Oh, Recky's been injured with an injured elbow. That's a pretty big loss, and that's probably going to hurt our winning streak. Yep, there you go. It ends at 11 games, but then we win our next game right after we lost that one. So, yeah, this team is cruising pretty much at the moment, but that Recky injury definitely hurt us a little bit. But, yeah, I do like this second line now, because Cox and Lafreniere used to play together in New York. I'm not sure if they ever played on the same line, but still, it's kind of reuniting the two of them. And we lost to New York when we played them next. That's funny. And then we lost a bunch of games in a row. So after having a huge winning streak, we are now currently on a 5-game losing streak. So a little bit weird, but that is okay. Vance is now up to 37 goals in 61 games and 70 points to lead the team, which is nice. And we are 5 points up on the wild card in our division, and we are 1 point up on the wild card in the Pacific. Damn, the Pacific is strong. Interesting. We're kind of in a weird spot. Like, we're actually... yeah, we're only 6 points up on a team that's not in the playoffs right now, so we definitely don't want to keep on losing games here. At least I hope not. Let's go to a day before the deadline, but I don't think we're going to be making trades because our top 6 is pretty good. We just need to find ways to win some games. There's a win right before the deadline. That's huge. 37, 21, and 5. And yeah, Vance is up to 38 goals. Yeah, Vance is maybe going to hit another 50-goal season this year. He has been definitely one of the best players I've ever had in terms of goal scoring ability. And he's having a lot more assists this year than usual too. So he might hit 100 points this year, because he needs 28 more points in the final... how many games is that? 19 games? Wait, no. Yeah, 19 games. I don't know if he'll actually reach 100 points, but he might have like a 90-something point season, which is pretty good. So, yeah, let's not make any more changes. Let's just keep on going, simulate the rest of the season. I think that trade that we made has definitely helped out our team a little bit, even though we have had some losing streaks here and there. Let's go to April the 1st and hopefully get some more wins. Let's see, there's a game against Dallas on the deadline. There must be a blockbuster trade alert. Yep, there you go. Jack Eichel gets sent to Vancouver with Lawson for... oh, that's the Christensen guy that went first overall before Asher Vance. He gets dealt to Vegas for Jack Eichel and somebody else. Wow. That's crazy. I don't know why New York took him. Or not New York took him, Vancouver took him. I got New York stuck in my head now, because we made so many trades with them. But, yeah, I don't know why Vancouver took him first overall when Vance was second in high elite potential. But obviously we made the better choice. And, ooh, that's not a good injury to have. Brunstrom has been injured till April the 1st. At least he'll be back for the playoffs if we make it, because you never know, we could just go on a losing streak all of a sudden. But that's a pretty big blow for Brunstrom, who is having a pretty damn good season this year. So, and he is back. So we'll throw Brunstrom back into our top 4. Solovyov is kind of... oh no, Solovyov's listed as a top 4, and he's getting scratched a lot. We should have probably maybe traded Solovyov for a depth defenseman, because he's going to complain about ice time completely. And we're getting another growth in our offensive core, which is good. We're almost at 50 wins this season. Let's get the last of the season done and see how we finish off the year. Are we going to hit 50 wins this year? There's 2 wins. There's a 3rd win. And Brunstrom's been injured again, this time with an injured back out till April the 14th. That's not good. At least he'll be back for playoffs again, but he's kind of getting a little bit injury prone. Let's get him back into the lineup and put him back in instead of Solovyov. Okay, so Brunstrom is back in. Let's see these final few games. There's another win. Damn, yeah, we're at 50 wins this season. Final 2 games of the season. Oh, no, Lafreniere's been injured, but at least it's only day-to-day pretty much, so that's good. He is going to probably be back for the start of the playoffs as well. 51, 24, and 7 to end the season. We end up winning our division with 109 points, just 1 point up on the Avs. And we also finished 3rd place, tied for 3rd place in the league. The best team in the league was the Flyers again, who have already won 3 straight Stanley Cups, I think, in this franchise mode. And in the Oilers were the 2nd best team. And Asher Vance actually did have 101 points, and he hit 60 goals this year. Wow. He must have had a torrential pace down the stretch. So Asher Vance with 100 points for the first time in his career and a 60-goal season for the first time, I think, in his career as well. He came close a few years ago, but that is really, really good. Let's take a look at the team stats and then the player stats for this season. So let's take a look at the team stats first. Yeah, we are tied for 3rd in the league, while a lot of the teams with over 100 points this year. Goals for per game on average, we were the 5th best offensive team in the NHL, scoring 3.62 goals per game. Goals against per game wise, we were the 3rd best defensive team in the NHL, only behind the Canucks and the Philadelphia Flyers, who obviously have won a couple Stanley Cups in a row at this point. Power play percentage wise, not terrible, I guess. Yeah, 17.5, a little bit above mid-table. Looked a lot worse when I first looked at it. Penalty kill percentage also kind of around mid-table, I'm guessing. Yeah, a little bit lower than mid-table, so our penalty kill needs to improve a little bit. But 9 short-handed goals, 26, 11, and 4 on home ice, and 25, 13, and 3 on the road. 7, 1, and 2 in our last 10 games. Hopefully we don't randomly just get completely crapped on in the playoffs, though, but you never know. Let's see our player stats, though. So, yeah, Asher Vance, wow, he was a plus 49 as well this year. That's an incredible season from Asher Vance. And, yeah, his highest goal total since his 58-goal season, but he's almost at 400 career goals already. And, yeah, he's now career plus 72 because of this season and the last few years. Wow. 12 game-winning goals this year as well, 11 power play goals and 16 power play points. So not as much power play points as usual, but a lot of power play goals and a lot of game-winning goals, some short-handed points. You love to see it. Good takeaway numbers as usual as well. So there is Asher Vance, up to a 92 apparently. Frank Nazar, 90 points this year and a plus 47. I'm glad I re-signed him. Yeah, he's definitely worth the money right now, playing on that top line. Reefers, 83 points this year and a plus 58. Damn, that's a great year for Reefers. We brought him in last year. He was not terrible. He was kind of doing what he was doing in San Jose with 68 points. But this year, he just really broke out. 31-goal season, 83 points. Yeah, the top line's doing really well. Is he up there for potential Selke candidate? 57.99 on the draw and 99 takeaways, maybe. But maybe not. Takeaway count is a little bit lower than probably some of them. Oh, we also have Ziska with 41 points. And he was playing mostly 4th line, I think. And shorthanded. He had 4 shorthanded goals. So yeah, he had penalty kill time and 4th line time, but still really good season from Ziska. Cox only had 41 points on that 2nd line, so kind of not that great, but it's okay. I mean, at least our top line did really good, so it doesn't look as bad. And then Kabanov, 25 points in 42 games. I think Cox might have gotten taken off the power play for Kabanov when we made an auto change. Maybe that's the reason why. But still, really good stuff from Kabanov. 7 power play points as well. And then Hart had nothing in 5 games. He had 5 penalty minutes, so he must have had a fight in one of his only games with us, which is kind of funny. Lafreniere, before his injury, he should be back for game 1 of the playoffs. 56 points in 79 games. How much with us? 38 points in 40 games and a plus 14. And a lot of power play points. That is exactly what you like to see from a trade acquisition. So pretty good. A lot of giveaways and not that much takeaways. So that's a little bit weird, but still good stuff from Lafreniere. Little 35 points, pretty solid. Patterson 26 points on the fourth line with 16 goals. And Bale's hit 15 goals this year. So after getting put to the left side, looks like he improved goal-wise. The -8 isn't great, but it's okay. Right wing wise, Connor Recchi 55 points in 78 games, pretty solid. Corrado 39 points in 82 games, getting some power play time it looks like. And Rammer had how much with us? 2 goals in 4 games as a depth option, not bad. Not bad at all. Defensively, Makar hit 65 points this year, a plus 59, and Brunstrom had 52 points in 77 games, was a plus 67. Damn, our top line and our top 2 pairing, really good plus minus and really good offensive stats. Morris 22 points plus 14, so he improved defensively quite a bit. Ovechkin 14 points and a plus 7, a lot of 7s on him. 7 goals, 7 assists, and plus 7. Lowry 14 points plus 12. Niedermaki brought in 10 points in 41 games and even 0. And Solovyov had nothing in 5 games, but pretty solid from Niedermaki. Yeah, we should get him probably on the power play at some stage. And then goalie-wise, Donald hit 40 wins this season. 40, 18, and 7 with 3 shutouts and 9-12 and a 2.61. So really good goaltending from him. And then Rudy Pitton was really good as the backup. 12 and 7 with 3 shutouts and 9-16 and a 2.38. So both goalies actually did really well this season. And there is a chance that Donald might demand a lot of money in the offseason, but at least he's still RFA. Because that's actually a pretty good season for an elite goaltender. But then he's going to probably not do good in the playoffs, watch. Let's take a look at the entire league quickly for points and stuff like that as well. So Michkov led the league, not a surprise. And then there was Connor Bedard, Skula, Connor Rantanen, the type of guys you'd expect to be up there because one line in Winnipeg's doing really well, and then Michkov and Skula are insane. Both of them are signed for 7 years in Philly, so that's kind of nuts. So a lot of 100-point players this year. Vance finishing up here with 101 points, probably top 10, just outside of the top 10. Yeah, just outside of the top 10, I think. Best goal scorer of the season was Asher Vance, so he's got another Richard. I think that's his second Richard, if I'm not mistaken. Beating out Nathan McKinnon by 5 goals and beating out a lot of other 50-goal scorers. Vance is the only 60-goal scorer in the NHL, which is awesome. Best plus minus based on forwards wasn't a player on our team. Montreal must have been a good team as well. That's kind of surprising. Let's take a look at some Selke candidates. Most takeaways and good face-off numbers. Maybe Dvorsky. Maybe who else we got here? Maybe Marco Rossi. I don't know. There's also Barkov, actually. Yeah, it's probably still Barkov who's going to end up winning it. Actually, he didn't take as much face-offs this year, so never mind. It's going to be maybe somebody different. Huh. Let's see the best defenseman for points right now. Quinn Hughes, again, not a surprise as well. 85 points. Jeez. Liljegren was up there with 73 points. That's the most I think I've ever seen him put up. Fox, 73 points as well. And Drysdale, 71. Best plus minus as a defenseman. Yeah, Brunstrom with a plus 67. Let's go, Brunstrom. That's an insane season from him. Goalie-wise, the best goalie in terms of wins was Safronov in Philly. Not a surprise there since Philly was so good. Most shutouts was Allenfelt in Vancouver. Best save percentage by a starter was Vic Zeeler in Arizona. But Easton Donald might have a chance to winning the Vezina this year. He was up there in save percentage, but Zeeler has a 919. But Donald played like another 17 more games than Zeeler. And in goals against wise, we're looking at maybe, it's probably going to be, no, Allenfeld has a lot of losses though. Easton Donald honestly might win the Vezina this year too. So we might have a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender. And this is only his second season in NHL? Yeah. Well, yeah, second full season. That'd be surprising to win a Vezina, for him to win a Vezina at 23. Any goalie goals this season just for fun? No goalie goals. Most goalie assists was Safronov in Philly as well. Best rookie for points this year, Lalonde in New Jersey had 72 points in his rookie season. Not too bad. So there is all that. Let's actually take a quick look at the New York Rangers, because I do want to take a look at what our players that we dealt to them did. But hopefully they're doing pretty well over there. I don't mind if the New York is actually turning it around. So there's Pedersen, 45 points this year, minus 15. Man. New York. But the guys we dealt to them, Pielmeyer finished the season with 23 points. He had 13 points in 41 games with them, so did a little bit better with them than he did with us. What else we got here? Skilly finished the season with 25 goals. He he did worse, way worse with them than he did with us. He was at minus 22 in those 41 games. Damn, New York has a problem. And then defensively, how did Avery Potter finish off the season? 14 points and no goals. And was a minus 7. Oh, he was a minus 17 with New York. Wow. I don't know what New York's problem is, but they are absolutely terrible. And Camesso had an 888 save percentage over there. Jeez. Yeah, that's a rough team. Really rough team. So there's that. Let's take a look at who we are playing in the first round of the playoffs. And Lafreniere should be back here right for the start of the playoffs, I guess. No, he's not. Or I thought it said the 18th, didn't it? He should be back. Yeah, it says he's playable today, but I don't know if I'll play him in Game 1. We should probably play him in Game 1 for next episode, but I'm not too sure if I will. But we are going to be taking on Vancouver in the first round of the playoffs. They went 46-30-6. Let's take a look at their roster and then also what they did during the regular season compared to us. But hopefully this isn't a team that's going to cheese us out of a playoff spot really early on, because that would not be good. So let's see what we got here. So first line, Berkeley Caton. Vancouver did make that blockbuster trade, trading for Jack Eichel and getting rid of Christensen, that former first overall pick, so that's interesting. But Berkeley Caton, pretty solid player. I also still have Elias Pettersson, really solid, obviously, and Joachim Kemmel. Yeah, that's a pretty solid first line. Kemmel's a little bit weak, but not bad. Oscar Olason, our former player, who has been pretty good since leaving us. He only eclipsed 33 points with us, but now he's picking up like 60-50 points, but he is playing in a top 6 role, kind of. They also have Max Domi in their top 6, which is pretty weak, and Yegor Chinnikov. I almost said Sharon Govich for some reason. But that's a pretty solid top 6, a little bit weak in the center depth, but that's still pretty good. Third line has Jonathan Berggren, Bobby Lawson, who that's one of the guys that they brought in from Vegas. A high top 6 that went 6th overall, so that was a pretty big trade. Yeah, not a bad player, but doesn't really pick up a whole lot of points so far. And then I also have Wyatt Johnson. And then a fourth line of Nick Schmaltz, Jean-Luc Foudy, and Fabian Raleigh. Yeah, it's an interesting looking forward core. It's not necessarily the best forward core, but everybody on it is above an 80 overall, pretty much, except for Raleigh, so that's not bad. But the center depth, with Domi being the second line center, I'm not a huge fan of it, but they definitely look pretty solid. Defensively, obviously, they have Quinn Hughes, who's still 94 overall, 33 years of age, and obviously he's won a shit ton of Norrises in his franchise mode, and he's got over 1,000 points in his career. He's been pretty yoked. We definitely need to keep him off the puck as much as possible. Sean Durzee's up there also on that top 2, so pretty good top 2 pairing. Second pairing, Cam Allen with Philip Johansson, and in a top 6 pairing that's really weak, Gustav Bobrovsky, former 4th round pick, and you also have Joachim Kapanen. Yeah, that defensive core is not great. I mean, obviously you have Quinn Hughes and Jersey who are good, but everybody else is kind of like a top 6 defenseman or below. So I'm not a huge fan of their defensive core. And then goalie-wise, they have Hugo Allenfelt, who was up there in terms of stats. Yeah, he's a pretty good goaltender. Wow, he's making 8.72, damn. And then Ilya Samsonov is the backup there. And he was not too bad this year. He hasn't had good playoffs before. How has Allenfeld's playoffs been? Really good. Oh boy, that's actually scary. He's had some phenomenal playoff numbers in his career despite not winning the Stanley Cup. Like, look at this, a 950 save percentage through 2 games. He had a really good AHL playoffs, and he had a 918 save percentage through 13 playoff games and a 923 through 11 playoff games. So this guy's actually a pretty good playoff goaltender. He's actually listed as an elite goalie, which is interesting. And in depth-wise, they have injury problems. I was wondering where Jack Eichel was. So Jack Eichel's out, so that's why maybe why Max Domi's second-line center at the moment. I don't know. But Jack Eichel got injured after they acquired him from Vegas. He only played one game with them and had an assist. Hopefully he's not back this round. They also have Corey Ebbett. They do have Sharon Govich, which is funny because I didn't even know their roster before this. And they also have Rudolph Balcers. So how long is Eichel and Ebbett out for? Because that definitely would dictate the series if Eichel wouldn't return. But then if both of them return the series, they actually have a really good forward core. Like, very good. Because, I mean, you'd probably demote Domi down to the fourth line. You'd take maybe Raleigh out of the lineup. Yeah, this would probably be a really good forward core with Eichel in it. Let's take a look at how long those guys are out for. But we're going to be probably out without Lafreniere for Game 1 just because I don't want to risk him getting re-injured again. So we will probably be without Lafreniere. They're going to be without Jack Eichel and Ebbett, I think it said. Yeah, and Ebbett. Oh, Eichel's out with a broken leg, so he won't return this round. He's out till May the 27th after playing only one game as a Canuck. And who knows if he'll return in the offseason because he's probably pending UFA. And then also, Ebbett is out till June the 12th with a broken rib, so we won't have to face either of these guys at all, which is great, really good for us. But that's really a big blow for the Canucks. Final thing, let's take a look at how they did during the regular season compared to us, and then that'll be it for this episode. Let's see what we got here. Actually, I didn't want to go to the playoffs because obviously the playoffs haven't started yet. I wanted to go to the regular season. Let's go to the Western Conference just to make it a little bit easier for us. So they were the 7th seeded team with 98 points. They actually almost finished in the 8th spot. Yeah, we basically had 11 more points than them. They scored 3.29 goals per game. We scored 3.62, so we were better offensively. They were one of the teams that were a little bit better defensively than us, which is kind of a surprise based on that defensive core. I don't really know why they're better defensively than us. Maybe it's because of the goaltending, but still. Their power play was worse than us as well, 16.7 to 17.5, and their penalty kill was better than ours, so that's maybe why they're better defensively than us. They also had 9 shorthanded goals like us, 21, 15, and 5 on home ice for them, and 25, 15, and 1 on the road. So this, even though they had like 11 more points or less points than us, it might be a little bit of an even matchup. Now, we definitely have the better team on paper, but it comes down to, I guess, if we could win without Lafreniere for Game 1, and then on from that, hopefully we keep on winning. But once Lafreniere's back in the lineup, this team's going to be pretty damn good, because I'm expecting a top line to hopefully do what he did during the regular season. Hopefully Lafreniere continues doing good like he was doing when we brought him in. Hopefully this third line can continue doing pretty decent because Kapanov was really solid. And then hopefully this fourth line also continues to doing what it was doing. Corrado's actually listed as a third line checking forward now, so we are going to be having to probably make some changes in our forward core for next season in terms of who's in specific spots. Because some of these guys like Corrado should be probably a third liner. Little, I don't know where he goes next season. Maybe he goes to the top 6. Maybe Bales goes to the top 6. But we shouldn't worry on next season already anyways. And yeah, Cale Makar probably in his last year here, just because of the young guys. But yeah, this team's doing really well. And if Easton Donald won himself a Vezina in his second season, that would be great as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the first round of the playoffs against the Vancouver Canucks as we look to get past the first round. And hopefully this team has a cup in its sights with the addition of Alexis Lafreniere. So I'm going to link down below, and I'll see you guys next time.